Hi everyone. On today's episode, I have the very lovely Cheryl, who you may know as @_thislineismine on TikTok and Instagram. This is the second time Cheryl has been on my podcast. We spoke last in December 2020, which was episode 28, and we spoke all about their autism diagnosis and kind of journey on TikTok. At the time, Cheryl had 200,000 followers on TikTok, and they now have over 500,000 followers, actually 524,000 to be exact, at the time of recording. And I can see Cheryl reacting to this. So yeah, Cheryl is here for a catch-up about everything they've been up to, and there's been some huge things happening recently, so I'm very excited to chat to you. So would you like to say hello?
Hello. That was really random. Hi, yeah. Look, I've been very busy, so it'll be good to catch up and kind of talk about what I've been up to. It'd be nice to share it with people.
Yeah, I can't believe it was December 2020. Like, that feels like such a long time ago.
That is so long ago. That's wild. You were talking about it, and I was like, wow, that's been a journey since then.
Yeah. I was like, this morning, I was like, I'm just going to check in on Cheryl's followers. I'm just going to have a look just so that I can say it in the podcast. But like, that's a crazy amount of growth as well. So we'll have to chat about TikTok. I'm sure we will. But
Yes, definitely, yeah.
generally, how are you? How have you been?
Good. Yeah, I've been really busy, but I'm good. I feel like I'm living my best life, which is weird to say.
Yeah.
I'm having a great time. Like, lots of things have been happening. I feel a lot more confident, a lot more happy, and it's just good, things are going well.
That's great. I'm so glad to hear that. And how's the kind of nursing degree going as well?
Yeah. Yeah, it's going. Yeah, nursing, I'm getting the degree. I'm at the end of my second year now, so I've got one more year left.
Wow. Okay.
But I kind of I love nursing, but I've lost like motivation for it a bit at the moment. I think it's just because I've been so busy doing a lot of different things that every time I'm like, oh, nursing, like last year, my first year, nursing was like my number one priority, my degree, and now it's kind of competing with other things, and I feel bad, but also kind of just got to live in the moment and see what happens. I'm going to get the degree and then kind of go from there, really.
Yeah, and I feel like I've seen you mention on your story that like, there's the potential in terms of like, your mental health and stuff, like working part-time in nursing just to kind of, not, kind of still follow that passion a little bit, but not so much that you're going to burn out massively. Like that seems like, quite a smart way of thinking from
Yeah, I
what I
completely
think.
I completely agree. Like, before, like, if I wasn't so busy, I'd probably go into full-time nursing, but I'd still probably struggle with it because I've never been someone that's been able to work full-time. I just get burnt out and really overwhelmed.
Mhm.
But now definitely I'm so busy, I'm just kind of like, I'll go in part-time and just go from there, really. Like, if it works in the NHS, it works. If not, then I'll find somewhere else, like,
Yeah.
I'm going to work it out. Like, I've always been someone
Mhm.
that's had like a clear life plan. And then it come to like, nursing was always my life plan, and it's come to it, and I'm now like, maybe it's not, the
Yeah.
overall goal. Or it would just like change up a bit. Like, my idea of what nursing was going to be is going to be different to how I used to think about it, I suppose.
Mhm. No, that's interesting, and I think, yeah, it's hard if you're someone that like likes to plan and you're like, I'm going to do this and this, and then you just kind of naturally almost change course a bit. But it's good that you're open to kind of just going with the flow and not like putting too much pressure on yourself. That's the main thing, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Like, the one thing I don't want to do is go into nursing and burn completely out and then like not be happy anymore. I think because now I'm like happy, I'm like really protective of my like energy and my space and all the things that make me happy. So it's like kind of got to get the balance right between working and making a living and also being happy and have better mental health. So I'm going to get there. I'm going to work it out. I'm going to try some different things and see what works.
And do you feel like that balance, you've kind of worked that out a bit over the past like couple of years? Because you sound and you're saying that you're kind of, that little bit more kind of happier in yourself kind of thing is the kind of vibe I'm getting. I could
Yeah,
be wrong.
definitely. I've definitely worked out a balance that works for me, and I think that's why I'm so scared for things to change, because I'm like, I've got to work the balance out again,
Yeah,
so we'll see.
exactly. Well, at least you're open to things, and I
Oh
know
yeah.
change is really scary, and I feel like it's on a whole other level if you're autistic as well, because it's just like so overwhelming. So yeah, it's good that you're kind of, I don't know, just kind of open to it and not getting too stressed, hopefully.
Yeah. I was getting really stressed, but now I'm kind of like, we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, well, that's good.
So try and be more chill about it.
Yeah, and we were talking just before we started recording about like how busy your just even like last month was for you.
Yeah.
Do you find I'm kind of sensing that like over the past 2 years you've just become busier in terms of like content kind of work and things like that, and kind of disability activism and things like that. So how have you found juggling that with life?
Yeah, so I don't know. Well, I do know what happened. It hit January, and like I changed my content about up a bit, which we'll probably talk about a bit later. And then suddenly was getting all these emails come in, and like I was really busy, and I was like, "What is going on?" I remember being on holiday in Florida, end of January, and I had like 5 TikTok related emails come in like the same day, and I was like, "I'm on holiday. I'm trying to like this would never normally be an issue." So yeah, I just got like really busy, and I thought, oh, it'll like die down a bit, and it was busy all the time, which is quite nice because I like what I'm doing with TikTok. I like all the different opportunities I get. That makes me happy. So I'm not. It doesn't feel like work. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's a different kind of busy, and I'm kind of balancing it with trying to like recharge more. Like sometimes I am really busy, and I'm just kind of forget to recharge, which is something I need to work on. But yeah, I'm trying to balance it with university, which haven't actually been that bad. Like the next 2 weeks, I have like loads of university assignments that need to be in, so I'm going to kind of be like, university is the priority. But when I'm not like, there's no deadlines coming up, I'm kind of like, oh, I'll just see what happens. As long as I recharge and as long as I get my degree, those are the priorities really.
Yeah.
Just take opportunities as they come. You never know what's going to come around the corner.
And talking of opportunities, I can't not mention Blue Peter.
Oh my goodness.
Do you want to run me through that process, because I need to know how
Yeah.
that came about.
Yeah, so it was like December time. I was kind of the entire of 2021. I can't believe it's 2022. The entire of 2021, I was like kind of, I don't know what the words are. With my content, I was like a bit lost. I was like comparing myself to other people. I was trying to do what they do, not what I do. And my content kind of like, you could tell I was tired. I wasn't very happy. And my content wasn't doing as well. And I think like, you could tell I was trying to be like other people. Like I kind of lost why people came to me to begin with. So I kind of sat back in December and I was like, need to do something about this. Because I love TikTok and it was a bit weird that I wasn't really loving it anymore. So I kind of looked back on when I first started out and my content, and I was like, what is different to what I'm doing now? And then I realized that I wasn't having fun anymore and I needed to have fun. And I was like, yeah, like I haven't always been, obviously awareness in education is really important to me, but like there's always been a fun element to it. Like it's not serious all the time. And I was like, I need to get the fun back. So I thought, I'll do some sensory activities and I'll see, like I'll do one and it completely flop and we'll see what happens. And one of my first ones I did was the cloud dough, and I put it up and I was like, that was like a really fun video to like make. And then it went viral and I just had so many people come to my account that had never seen me before. And I had so many people commenting like, oh, you'll be a great children's TV presenter. Loads of people were tagging CBBC and I was like, this is hilarious.
Oh.
All this kind of stuff. And then the next working day, so I posted that on a Saturday. So Monday morning, I had an email from Blue Peter. Hi, we've seen your cloud dough video. We'd love to get you on the show. And I was like, I thought it was
Oh my
fake.
god.
I thought it was a fake email. I had like scrolled down to the bottom where obviously has like all their credentials and stuff. And I was like, oh, it's not fake. Oh, that's real.
Wow.
So it kind of went from there, really. So I knew in January I was going to be on the show, which is obviously a very long time to keep it quiet. And I was going to be on a little bit sooner than I was, but like some scheduling issues came up. So I ended up being on it in June, and just it was like 6 months of kind of talking to Blue Peter. We had a lot of meetings about kind of what I wanted the show to be. So I worked a lot with the producer on the script to kind of be like, I want it to be a positive reflection of autism. I want it to be fun. I want it to be relatable to kids. I want it to be empowering and like confidence boosting, like kind of what I needed to see as a child. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I didn't really know what was going to happen with it. Like, it was like a few days before, and I was like, oh, I'll go up to Manchester. And I got the script through, and obviously the script was kind of like questions that I would be asked, and then the producer kind of listened to things I said, so kind of put in some bullet points of like things I have previously said. So it wasn't like scripted, but like a guide, so I knew what was going on.
Okay.
And I got the script through, and I was like, oh my gosh, he listened to me. I was like, this is like going to be the best segment ever. And I got so excited. And I was like, yes, because you never know with this kind of stuff. You don't know what way it's going to go. Like, if your idea will come across, like, or if they're going to want something a bit different. So when I got the script, I was like, yes, this is going to be so good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's really nice to hear that, because I feel like in something that kind of big, you might not always be heard, or like things might not get taken on board. And it sounds like they were really kind of up for listening to you. And from what I've seen from your Instagram stories, I sound like a stalker because I keep saying from your Instagram stories, but it sounds like they like really guided you through the process, and like the people were nice and things.
Oh,
And
yeah. So I got there, and well, I had someone meet me in my hotel, which was absolutely lovely because I hate walking into new places I've never been before. It makes me super anxious.
yeah.
And everyone was just so friendly and welcoming. I was like, there are so many people and they all want to like talk to me. Like the crew behind scenes, the producers, the managers, the presenters. I was like, what is going on? And they were just so friendly. Like before I arrived, I was given like a minute, well, not minute by minute, but like a really clear schedule of kind of what I'd be doing when. And they also let me go on the studio floor early so I could kind of adjust to it, because not only is it like loads of lights and like quite busy, but there was a children, an audience full of kids. And that was a bit
Yeah.
nerve wracking. So I kind of got used to like the noise levels, like they would like laugh and they'd cheer, and like to get used to the kind of the noise levels. And everyone was just so friendly. And they have like the makes table out, and apparently the art director got really inspired and like decorated it with slime and stuff like this and made it really cool, which they don't normally do. So I was like, wow, they've gone like all out for me. And I was a bit like blown away. I was like, I just make TikToks in my bedroom, like, and now I'm in like Blue Peter Studio. Don't know what's going on. But they were really friendly, really encouraging, because obviously I was really nervous because, you know, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went through it a few times, rehearsed it, and they were just really encouraging, gave me great feedback, and they were just really friendly. I would go back in a heartbeat. And I got to meet the Blue Peter dog, so.
Is it Henry?
Henry.
Yes. Is it sad that I know that? I don't think so.
No, I had to
He's so
Google his
cute.
name. I was like, I need to know what the name is. So I'm not like a fake
so you
fan.
went like pre.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, got everyone's names. Nice.
Did some like research, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. I can't, like, it just shows you like off the back of, you know, a piece of content what can open up to you. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah. I never expected it. Like when people were tagging like CBBC, I was like, that's hilarious. Like it will never happen. And then getting that email so soon after, I was like, wow. And then to go on there and make Cloud Dough, it was like a full circle. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And like how encouraging that, you know, something that you were doing for yourself, other people were really like into as well in terms of, you know, a sensory activity. And has that kind of encouraged you to do kind of more videos for yourself kind of thing, or things that you like?
Yeah, definitely. My favourite thing to film is sensory activities. Like they're just so fun, and like I'm not someone that's done many sensory activities. Like growing up, it was kind of like, oh, you know, you don't do that. I don't know. So it's nice to be like an adult and do a sensory activity and have fun and be creative, and then also have people at home like follow along. I absolutely love that. I have like people message me like little videos of their sensory bottles they've made, or like the slime they've made, and that's just so wholesome. I'll get people like message me and be like, oh, I'm going to make this with my friend at our sleepover at the weekend, and it's just like, That's kind of why I do it. Like, I do it for myself
Yeah.
and I love it because it's fun, but it's also really nice that people are doing it with their family, their friends. That's
Mhm.
awesome. I never expected it.
That's such lovely like feedback as well, just to hear like people engaging with it and not just, like commenting things, but actually showing you that they're making them and like experimenting with them. That's so cool.
It was really cool.
And I mean, obviously, your followers have more than doubled since the last time that I spoke to you. How have you? I know it's not all about followers, but how have you found that? Is it kind of has it affected you at all, or have you been able to kind of separate yourself from it?
It's been good. I've been able to kind of separate myself from it. Last year, no. Like, as I said, it wasn't going well. And I just kept comparing myself to other people and just
Mhm.
being like, I'm not good enough. Like, I think my kind of growth kind of stalled a little bit, especially at the end of the year. And I was just like, I'm not good enough. Like, why do people. I was taking it personally, like, why do people not like me anymore? And that was not the case. But I was taking it a
Yeah.
bit personally. And then, like I said, I kind of reevaluated myself and my content. And I just grew so quick again. I was like, what is going on? Like, no idea what's going on. And then, like, Blue Peter came off the back of that, and I've been a lot more busy.
Mhm.
And I'm just in a better place with it now. Like, I don't think of the numbers anymore. Like, I hit my overall goal was 500k, and I reached that in April. And since then, I don't think about the numbers anymore. Like, yeah, a nice goal would be 1 million, but honestly, I don't really like whatever. Like, whatever happens, happens. Like,
Mhm.
I am good enough. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm kind of telling myself. Like, I am good enough.
Yeah.
I'm growing every day. Like, it's going really well. Like, I don't know what's happened, but my content's going really well. It's getting really good engagement. And that's made me feel better and kind of been able to work through some things that I was struggling with last year and kind of been able to separate myself. Like, sometimes I love
Mhm.
it when a video flops because I'm like, oh, it's like I don't know, one that not many people have seen. It's like, like a little gem. And I like
An
that.
exclusive.
It's an exclusive, exactly. And it feels like less pressure as well. I'm like, oh, that's nice. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. It's going really well.
That's good. And that's really nice to hear that, it's not you've been able to kind of take that step back from it and do the things that you love on TikTok rather than, trying to hit views and things like that. And if it happens, it happens. And if it doesn't, like you said, you're good enough. It shouldn't affect you kind of thing. But I can get how it's hard to kind of step back if you're doing lots of content like all day, every day kind of thing. But it sounds like you're very kind of structured with your time in that you kind of put aside time for TikTok, put aside time for uni, and like time to just rest and do nothing. So you sound like you've kind of hit a good balance.
I agree. I've hit a good balance. I kind of know what I'm doing now, which is quite nice. And I've kind of taken. I don't take it personally anymore, and that's the
Mhm.
best thing because then I can have more fun with it. I don't care what I film, and that's the best. Like, having that freedom is so good because then it also helps me have new ideas and be more creative and do like something different. Like the sensory
Mhm.
activities, I was like, that's completely different. It might not work, but I'll do it anyway because I want to do it and it'll be fun. And then it's really worked, and I'm like, oh, okay, that paid off.
It's so nice to see an adult making these like sensory activities because so many videos I watch online are like toddler based like sensory activities, and like I'm all happy for that, like that's great, but I want to see more adults like making like sensory bottles or like slime and things like that. I know like the slime community is pretty big, but actually like making stuff for yourself, it's really nice to see like people being more open about it. And I just think, I don't know, I just want to see more of that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's just nice because I'm able to express myself. And
Mhm.
sometimes it feels like I'll finish filming and I'll be in the editing process and I'm like, oh, do I keep this bit in because it's like me stimming, or do I get rid of it?
Mhm.
But a lot of the time I do keep it in because I'm just being myself and I'm just expressing myself. And like, that's still awareness. Like, even though it's fun and like I'll get quite a younger audience come for that content, it's still awareness. And people might ask me like, oh, why do you do that? And I'm like, oh, it's stimming. And then I can educate them.
Mhm.
And I like that. And I'm kind of like, I don't really care what people think anymore. So just do what I want. And I like it. It's good representation and it's good awareness and it's fun.
Yeah,
We need to normalize these
exactly.
things.
Exactly. I think the more like people, like especially children, come into contact with things, the more like normal it is, the more like, you know, always happy to answer questions and things like that. You know, like we're never going to say no to like a genuine question kind of thing. So I feel like there's still a long way to go, but at least like TikTok's quite good for that in terms of, you know, people being able to ask questions in the comments and stuff like that, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
I've seen on your Instagram and your Twitter that you've recently been going to a lot of gigs, like 21 Pilot gigs. I feel like you might be a super fan. And also, I need you to explain how you got a drumstick from the band at some point. But do you want to explain a little bit about how that's been for you and how like how much you've enjoyed it? But also, I think some people might want to know like how do you cope in that sort of environment?
Yeah, definitely. So I've been going to concerts for 10 years now, and I absolutely love them. There's something about live music that just makes me feel like no other place or event makes me feel. It just makes me feel so happy, so alive, so free, and I just love it. And I've always
Mhm.
been like a big fan of music growing up, kind of always listening to my music, absolutely love bands. And my music taste has never really changed. And like once I found it, and I like to be able to just go and like experience the music live. I love it. And a lot of people say to me like, how can you cope with live music as an autistic person? And I completely get their point of view. Like, it's really loud, there's vibrations, it's really busy, it's really crowded, there's lights going on, like it's a lot sensory wise.
Mhm.
But my love for music and the music community kind of overrides that. Like, I've found ways to cope. I've been going for 10 years. Like, I've kind of got my own ways to cope with it in the moment. And like
Mhm.
going to see 21 Pilots, like, I'm a bit of a super fan, I'm not going to lie. And I've seen them 11 times. And it just
Wow.
doesn't get old. And there's just something about it. Like, I always have a really good plan. So like having a plan really helps. Like, any autistic person absolutely loves a plan.
Mhm.
I always make sure, if I'm, for example, the concerts are in London, I always make sure I have a hotel. I know how I'm going to get to London. I know how to get to the venue. And it's just something I've learned through time. Like, I've been going to so many that I kind of learn from my mistakes. I kind of learn what works, what doesn't work. And my love for the music overrides everything. So for 21 Pilots, I won't do it for everyone, but I'll line up early because everyone just loves to line up early, which gets a bit exhausting. But I'll kind of go early. And I didn't know this. I don't know if it's a new thing, but a lot of the venues now do early access for people with any disability, which I didn't know about.
Okay.
So you apply for it before the concert. You have to submit some paperwork. You know how it goes.
Yep.
And you can get in first before anyone else, which I did not know about. So I've been queuing up for like 10 hours,
Oh.
and I could, if I would have known, I could have just, submit my paperwork and got in straight away. But it's part of the fun. Like, I like to queue up. I like to chat to people. I like to like get to know people. And
Mhm.
something I was asked in my autism assessment, they're like, how can you like talk to strangers? Like, how do you approach them? And I was like, when
Mhm.
I'm at concerts, I'll just talk about the band. So I'll be like, oh, what's your
You've
favourite
got a
song? Or,
topic.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. A topic always helps. And that helps me. And a lot of the time, I go to concerts on my own as well, which obviously can be overwhelming. And if anything goes wrong, it's hard. But
Mm.
I like that. I like to kind of go and like meet people when I'm there and make new friends. And when I'm in there, it was so hot. Like, this summer has been something else. But I kind of have like ways to cope. So one of the things I like to do is like when you're waiting for the band to come on, it can be a bit long. I like to
Mm.
kind of look up above everyone or like look at the ceiling because like there's loads of space there. There's no space near
Yeah.
me, but if I look above everyone, there's loads of space. So I can kind of
Okay.
trick myself, like I'm not actually at a concert. I always try and get near the front, so like you get water passed back. That's always helpful. I wear
Mhm.
my in-ear plugs, and they're
Yep.
game changer, absolute game changer. They don't fall out, which is what I love. Like, I used to wear the little like disposable ones, and they would just fall out after the
Yeah.
first song. So like these ones stay in. It's a very good investment, and that really helps because it kind of gets rid of some of the vibrations, and I can seem to like hear the music better, which I love.
Okay.
And what
Hmm.
else do? I like the lights, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't like strobe lights, but like bright, colourful lights is kind of my thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes after concerts, I get really overwhelmed. And it can be
Mhm.
because, well, I've just seen my favourite band and there's lots of people and it's really busy and it's really loud and there's no more fun lights I like, and I get quite overwhelmed.
Mm.
Not so much anymore, but I used to get really overwhelmed and have like a sensory overload
Yeah.
afterwards.
Mhm.
But I'm kind of coping with that now. And when I, it's so funny, this blooming drumstick, it was, I was third row from the front, and I had just had a bit of a concert. Like, there's 21 Pilots do some like crowd participation stuff, and I kind of got involved in all of it. And I've never really been that lucky before, so I was quite
Okay.
overwhelmed anyway. And the concert ended, and I turned around to chat to my friends. I wasn't even like facing the stage. And I was like, that's a great like concert. And then just this drumstick like bounced off the person in front of me and then bounced onto my shoulder and fell on the floor next to my foot. And I was
Oh my
like,
god.
and I went down and I grabbed it and I like held it to my chest. Like all these people came running up to me and I was like ready to fight them. And they were like, congratulations on the drumstick. And I was like,
Oh.
I was like ready to like have a fight over a drumstick. And I was absolutely freaking
Oh.
out. And I was like screaming. And there's this girl next to me who was like live streaming for Instagram or something. And she was like,
Right.
how do you feel? And that's just no words. I was just like, I was screaming. And she kept asking me. And I just kept screaming. And she was like, oh, okay. And then my friend was like, Cheryl, you need to calm down. And I was like, in my head, I was like thinking, like, what's wrong? And I was hyperventilating. I was like proper
Right.
freaking out. She's like, Cheryl, breathe. And I was like, oh, yes, air. Air is a good thing. And yeah, so that's kind of how that happened. But concert wise, I just love it. It makes me feel like alive, happy, and I can cope with it. I've been doing it for years. I've kind of learned what works, what doesn't work. And yeah, I don't think my life would be very boring if I didn't go to concerts. Like, they're my main event, you know.
Mhm. Like
I
the
like
thing to
them.
look forward to kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. They're my main one to go to. Like, just love them. Love a good
And do you
concert.
find that, like, have you found like a kind of group of people that kind of go to them as well? Like, do you bump into people that you've like seen before kind of thing?
Yeah, so I've got one friend, Alex, and we go to a lot of our concerts together now. We just seem to like, either we've gone together or we just bump into each other when we're there,
Great.
which is really lovely. And then just when I'm there, there's always people I recognise, even if it's just like a random band that I've never seen before. I'm like, I've seen you at another gig before. And like, it's just a really nice community. Obviously, when I go see 21 Pilots, there's a lot of people there I know. But just because I've seen them on previous tours, and I'm like, oh, it's nice to see you again. I haven't seen you in like 3 years.
Aww.
And I love it. I like that, you know? It's a community.
Yeah, like a really close knit kind of fan base, which is
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, it's really helpful and like interesting to hear of like your coping mechanisms and things. Like even just to like looking into like a space so that you don't feel like you're in a crowded space is really like, I don't know. I feel like that's like an elite brain kind of level up sort of thing to almost like trick yourself into thinking I might have to use that.
Yeah, no, it's really helpful. I don't know why it works, because in reality there's loads of people around me, but it's just nice to see some space, you know? If I look down, oh my goodness, like, cannot see a thing.
Yeah.
Look up, nice air, you know. It really helps. And I've been doing that since day one. I use it in other places, not just at concerts, like a really busy supermarket or shopping centre. And it helps. Just look above everyone. Then they're not there.
Yeah, that is a good mechanism.
Yeah.
And how did you find like the traveling bit? Because that can be quite like overwhelming.
Yeah, travelling, I've done it so many times, kind of got used to it, but I get the train into London, and I like that because the train's normally pretty good. It's normally kind of quiet, kind of depends. And then the underground, I've used it so many times that I've gotten used to it, and I know a lot of people find the underground overwhelming, but I like kind of use like the apps. So like you've got, you know, the TfL app, and it will tell you exactly like what station to go to, what line to get to wherever you need to go, and that's really helpful. If I didn't have that, I would be terrible at the underground.
I don't understand how people like navigate using the like actual map, you know,
Oh
the
my
wiggly
gosh.
lines.
No.
I'm like, how are you reading that?
Yeah, exactly. And I've got so used to it now that I kind of know where I'm going. Like if I'm in Waterloo, I know I don't even need to look at the map anymore. Like, it's just a
Mhm.
bit weird. I've kind of memorized it. And I kind of like it. Like, I don't like the underground sensory wise, but I kind of like the organisation. It's kind of like, oh,
Yeah.
like an airport, you know what I mean? Same kind of vibe.
Yeah. It's really the heat and the noise I find difficult
Yes.
on the tubes
Yes.
rather than the actual organisation of it,
Yeah,
sort
I
of thing.
completely
But
agree. Like, the heat, the noise, the crowds. I don't like that. But have you been on the Elizabeth
yeah.
line?
I haven't and I want to. It sounds kind of nice.
Yeah, so they've done some stuff to it to make it more sensory friendly.
Oh,
They've
okay.
kind of, I think, my friend went to an open day and they were saying that they had kind of like tested it out with some neurodivergent people, kind of got their feedback, and
Oh.
they've put something special on the train carriages so they don't make that horrible squeaky noise. They're really quiet.
Oh, the
They're
squealing.
really quiet. And the
Oh.
lighting is like, when you're on the train, the lighting isn't super bright. Like, there is bright lighting, but I can't even explain it. Like, it's nice. It's just nice.
It's just nice.
It's nice. It's better than all the other
Oh.
undergrounds.
Oh, that's good. Because I saw they had like an open day and they were inviting like lots of different people down, but I didn't realize like how many different kind of, groups or communities they'd kind of consulted. It's really nice.
That
And
is
even
really
just
good.
like even if they can just like knock out like one of the senses, like it be less noisy, like that's amazing in itself. But like a few things, that's great.
It's really good. So I recommend that.
hmm And how did you find? Because you mentioned that you went to Disneyland.
hmm
How did you find that? Did you have a nice holiday? And I know you're massively into planes.
Oh
How
my
was the
gosh.
the journey?
It was good. It was strange because COVID was getting pretty bad in January. I was really
Mhm.
paranoid I was going to get COVID, so I stayed inside my house for 3 weeks straight because anxiety. I could not leave. I could not leave the house and then get COVID and then hate myself forever. So I stayed inside my house for 3 weeks, and my parents
Okay.
didn't. They were like doing their own kind of thing, and they're like, "Cheryl, like, why don't you just go out for a walk?" And I was like, "No, like, I'm staying
Don't
inside."
want to. Yeah.
So that was really intense. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't like my finest moment of the year. And
hmm
then I kept telling myself it wasn't gonna happen. So when I woke up in the morning and it was happening, and like we'd all tested negative because you had to take like back in the day, I had to take
Oh.
loads of different tests,
Yeah.
especially to go
Yeah.
to America. And so got to the airport and I was wearing my sunflower lanyard, and the Heathrow staff, I flew with BA and they were just so accommodating. Like, it was quite funny. Me and my mum were going up to the check-in and there was, there's always someone that stood there to help you out.
Yeah.
And there was a family going over to this lady to ask her a question, and then she saw me and she was like, "I'll be with you just a second. I'm just going to help this person."
Oh.
And like came over to me
Excellent.
and was like, "Do you need any help with anything? Like, is there anything we can do?" And I was like, "Yeah, like, where do we go to check in for our flight?" And like, she told us where to go, and she was just like really calm. She had like this really calm vibe. And I went to go check in, and they were really lovely. But the weird thing about Heathrow Airport, I don't know how much you travel, but Heathrow Airport doesn't let you. So, for example, Gatwick, they'll have a disabled security line.
Okay.
So, like, it's shorter and the staff are accommodating, they kind of have an awareness.
Right.
But Heathrow don't have that. And
Okay.
they also don't let you go through the fast track. Some people can pay to get through quicker.
Yeah.
They don't let you through the fast track because some people find that more overwhelming.
Right. Okay.
So I did have to kind of queue up in security, which, these things happen, and it wasn't busy, it was January, but I can't even imagine doing that now in the summer.
hmm
Like, I wouldn't be able to cope with that. So I think that's an area they need to kind of work on. A lot of other airports will have like a disabled queue,
hmm
which is shorter, and the staff are really accommodating. So I kind of feel a bit weird. It didn't bother me because it was quiet, but I feel like if I went in peak time, that would be a big issue.
hmm
But then, like, I went to my plane, and I always kind of phone ahead for special assistance, like, as in to get on the plane first. Um, but the guy at the check-in, like the boarding gate, saw my lanyard, and he came over to us and he was like, "Please, you don't need to sit here. Like, come through." And like,
Oh.
there was like a special kind of seating area for people that were getting on the plane first for like
Okay.
their disabilities, and it was really good. And like, I was like, sit there, it'll be like 20 minutes and we'll let you know when you get the plane, board on the plane. And that was really great, to kind of have that. And like, the workers came up to me. That's what I liked.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to kind of be
Yeah.
like, hello, can you help me?
Yeah.
They kind of came up to me. Like, if I didn't need any help, I just said, I'm fine. And they were like, that's cool. Like, they didn't question it.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely if you're in an airport, wear your sunflower lanyard, because honestly, game changer. That's like the main place I wear my lanyard, because I always get the accommodations. People are always really friendly, really helpful. And if I am really anxious, like, I know that I can approach someone and they're going to help me.
Yeah. Just the fact that they're kind of aware of the lanyard and are kind of not seeking it out, but like going up to people, like that's nice.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not having to, because it's nerve-wracking being in a new place and finding someone for help.
Ugh.
At least if they're kind of, standing out kind of and you can see them, then at least, I don't know, it makes you slightly less anxious, I hope.
Yeah, definitely. And the holiday, I spent ages talking about the airport.
Yeah.
The holiday was great.
Oh, good.
It's what I needed. It was really cold out there. But it was just really fun. It was nice to
How long were you there for? Sorry, I meant to ask how long you'd gone there for.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, right? Okay.
It was lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Just to get out the country. I love traveling. Like, it's one of my special interests that kind of took a massive knock when COVID hit. So to go and travel just felt so good. The entire time I was like, this isn't real. But it was one of the best holidays I've had. And I think it's because, you appreciate it more. Like, we haven't been able to go away for so long.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like an adventure. It was like, ooh, I haven't done this for a while.
Oh,
It was lovely.
that's good. And did you have because I know you are quite a planner, did you enjoy did you have like a day plan kind of thing? I'm always fascinated by like how people plan their time at Disney, because it seems like there's a lot to get around.
Yeah, so Disney World, they have an app, and because of the COVID restrictions out there, so when I was out there, like, you had to wear masks inside. There was a lot of restrictions, and you had to pre-book the parks. So you kind of had to have a plan. So you'd
Right.
have to book what park you were going to go to. And then, they do a fast pass kind of thing that we got thrown in with our holiday, and you have to book them in the morning because they sell out. So you kind of have like a rough plan every day on the app, which is really helpful because you can just look on the app and it's there. You don't have to kind of write it down. And I had the disability access scheme, which is super helpful, where you can you go up to them, you kind of tell them, a little bit about you. So I kind of went to guest services and I was like, I'm autistic, and they didn't need to know anything else. They were like, yeah, sure, we got you.
Excellent.
And you can on the app, you book your like disability access. So say if I wanted to go on Space Mountain, I'd book it, and you'd wait the amount of the wait time. So if it was a 60-minute wait, you'd wait 60 minutes, but you could do whatever you wanted in the park.
Oh, so you're not waiting in a queue?
No. So you can.
Oh, okay.
Say if there was a 5-minute ride, you could go on that whilst you wait. Like.
Yeah.
So that's really good, and you go back, and then you go in the fast pass lane, so like the quicker lane, which is really great. Because people don't judge you as much. Like they used to do it, you go through the exit, and that's great, and that works a lot better because there was a lot of queuing when I was out there, even in the fast pass lane. But people judge you, So I like that, which is really good. But a lot of the new rides, so like the Rise of the Resistance, the new Star Wars ride, their queuing system's a bit weird. So normally it will be the main queue and the fast tracking queue, and they kind of join right when you're about to get on the line, on the ride. But on the new rides, they have it where they merge a lot sooner, which means you're waiting a lot longer.
Okay.
And I don't think they thought about it, because the Rise of the Resistance ride specifically, you end up queuing down. You're meant to be on like a Star Wars ship, right? You're queuing down this really narrow corridor.
Okay. Already sounds horrible.
And I was waiting there for about 30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And I just don't think they thought about it. So I think that's something they're going to have to change.
Yeah, it's a bit claustrophobic sounding.
Yeah. And so it used to be, you'd go on the fast track lane and you kind of get on the ride. You've already waited your time. You'd kind of get on the ride within like 10 minutes. And a lot of the newer rides, you can be waiting 20 up to 40 minutes because they kind of merge sooner and you end up in the normal line.
Okay.
And I just think, I get why they've done it and it probably helps with the queuing system, but I think for people with disabilities, that is going to cause issues.
Yeah. You don't want to be overwhelmed before you get on the ride.
No, exactly. But that's my only criticism. Besides that, I find Disney really great, to be honest, as an autistic person. You know, there's lots you can do there. You can plan out your day, and the staff are really friendly. Like, there's never anything that's too much for them.
Oh, that's nice. I think even it's like a lot of the time it's just the people that make it like a nice place as well. Like
Yeah.
just approachable, nice people if you're, you know, a bit worried about something or can't find something, or, you know, especially somewhere so vast. Like
It's
I
big.
can imagine it can be. Yeah. Had you been before? Like, did you know it or?
Yeah, so I've been going loads since I was a small child, so I like know it like the back of my hand. I know it better than where I live, to be honest. So I know it really well, and so it's less overwhelming.
I think like if you know the environment at least, like you kind of feel a bit more at home, kind of navigating and stuff, and knowing where things are. Well, that's cool. Oh, well, it sounds like a really nice holiday. And apart from the fact that you had to kind of deal with emails and things, it sounded good.
Got very busy.
So I'm assuming before you went, you like wrapped up all your work, and then you went, and then there was still work.
All the work suddenly came in on literally like the same day, and I put some of them off. I'm not gonna lie, but a couple of them, like I was like, yeah, I can put that together when I'm on holiday. And my main thinking was, you know, I'm on holiday, I'm spending like quite a bit of money. It's quite nice to get some of it back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was kind of my thinking. I was like, oh, this is like paying for that t-shirt I just bought. Do you know what I mean? So something quick, I was kind of like, oh, I can do that. But I kind of learned a lot. Like next time I go on holiday, which is soon actually, I just booked a random last minute trip. I'm going to kind of be like, oh, thank you so much for your email. Currently on holiday. I'm happy to help you when I'm back.
Yeah. Out of office.
Out of office, yes.
Yeah. You got to do a little email signature or something, just like
proper
Cheryl is not available.
Yes.
Yeah.
If it's urgent, please don't contact me.
Yeah. Just don't put anyone else to contact. Yeah. Just don't contact me. Excellent. So where are you going?
I'm going to Seattle.
Ooh.
I love Seattle. Been? Yeah. So I've got family friends that live out there. And I haven't been out there for over probably 20 years. It's been a while.
Oh wow.
So I'm gonna stay with some family friends. And just get away. It'll be nice. Just felt, you know, let's book a holiday. I don't know. I was in a weird mood over the weekend and I was like, oh, I've booked a holiday now in like the space of a day. It was a bit strange, but
oh really?
Yeah.
Wow. And have you like planned anything to do there, or is there like why Seattle?
Yeah, so the main reason is 21 Pilots.
Cheryl. Not again. Number 12.
Number 12. So yeah, 21, they're kind of a special interest, I'm not gonna lie. They kind of dip in and out.
I did sense that, yeah.
No, yeah, so they're playing yeah, I don't know.
That was like a confession. You were like, 21 Pilots, I'm sorry.
So yeah, they're playing, and it'd just be nice to kind of go out there. And Seattle's really beautiful. There's mountains, waterfalls, all the things I love, and 21 Pilots. So I mean, why would I not go?
Well, and family. I mean,
and family friends. So yeah,
there you go.
Catch up with some people.
Nice. Oh, how far? I don't even like. How long a trip is that?
It's a 10-hour flight.
Okay.
I'm getting that flight on my own. It's just hit me.
Oh, are you? Ooh.
I've never got a long haul flight on my own before. Woo! It's gonna be fun. Ooh. I'll take some stuff to do.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. I guess. Like, are you someone that can sleep on a plane? I feel like some people can, and some people just can't.
I'm an in between. You know, I'm
like sort of.
You know, when you're like asleep, but you can hear everything around you.
Yeah.
That's me on a plane.
Light sleep.
Yeah, very light sleep.
Oh, that's so exciting. So when's that?
End of September. I'm going to be out there for my birthday.
Oh,
which would be nice.
That'll be nice.
Yeah.
How old are you going to be?
27.
You're talking to someone who's 28 and is feeling, yes,
Yeah.
that.
You get
Yeah.
to kind of like your late 20s, and it's
Yeah.
you don't feel like you're in your late 20s, like, especially with the pandemic
No.
and a lot of the things I went through when I was a teenager. I still like feel like I'm living like my early 20s. I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I feel like we lost those 2 years
Yes,
and we should be, I don't know, reimbursed in some form of age. Like,
I completely agree.
yeah. So, I wanted to talk to you about your National Autistic Society. I think it was a blog post. Is that right?
Yeah,
Is
it
that the
was,
right
yeah.
way of saying it? Yeah. So, I saw that and it was very good. It was very thorough. And I thought it'd be good to ask you a little bit more about it. And it was centered around like Pride Month. And yeah, how did that sort of come about?
Yeah, so they sent me an email and they wanted to do a piece on Pride Month and kind of my experience as an autistic person in the LGBTQ plus community. And I thought that was
Mhm.
a great subject, you know what I mean? Like, Pride is something that's really important to me, but also I don't talk about it as much, especially on my TikTok. Like, I feel like every June I remind everyone that I'm in fact a lesbian. And then and then it kind of like people forget every
Mhm.
year, and then it's like every year I'm coming out on my TikTok.
Oh, okay.
So it's very strange. So 'cause I don't know why I don't talk about it that much. I just feel like it's something I used to think about, like my sexuality and my gender identity. I used to think about loads, and now I've
Mhm.
kind of like worked it out. I don't really think about it as much as I used to, so I don't make content on it as much because I'm not really like thinking about it. So when I got that
Mhm.
email, I was like, "Oh, this is a great opportunity to talk about something that I don't normally talk about."
Yeah.
And I thought it would just be great because the questions they asked me were really interesting about, you know, accessibility at Pride, um,
Mhm.
and my experiences like with my sexuality, my gender identity. I thought that was really good, and I just wanted
Yeah.
to talk about it. I was like, this is a great opportunity. So yeah,
Mhm. And I feel like it's interesting for you to say, like, you know, you don't have that much of an opportunity to talk about it, because I do feel like some people just think of creators like, oh, Cheryl talks about autism and, you know, sensory issues, but actually there's way more to you than those two things.
yes,
But like you said, the fact that you feel like you're coming out each year because people are forgetting
yeah, yeah.
is a bit like, oh, so that's interesting.
It's interesting. I just feel like, you know, people kind of there's still that whole like I don't know what the words are. People just presume everyone's straight is the words.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
so it's strange every time I kind of talk about my sexuality because people are like, "Oh, I didn't know that."
Mm.
This year I didn't get any nasty comments, which is quite nice. But previously, it's like had people be like, "I'm unfollowing you," and I'm like, "Bye bye then." Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
So it was just a really good opportunity to kind of talk about stuff, and I really enjoyed the interview. Like, I got sent the questions, and then I kind of wrote it up, and I really
Okay.
enjoyed that process because it allowed me to kind of talk about things that I don't really talk about. Um,
Mhm.
like I've got my sexuality down, but gender identity is something that it really confuses me. I know a
Mhm.
lot of autistic people. What is the word? Um, Autistic people are more likely to be non-binary or to be transgender,
Mhm.
and that makes complete sense in like my kind of experiences. Like, but it's also really hard to work out. Like, I've found that journey of working out my gender identity really difficult. So I thought it was a really good
Mhm.
opportunity to kind of talk about that because I feel like it's not talked about much. Like, and I really admire
Mm.
people who are confident with their gender identity. Like, I've never felt like that. So it was good to express that and kind of in the hope that other people might relate to that.
Mhm. And I was going to ask you kind of like about like your pronouns as well, because that was that kind of something like I'm always kind of really intrigued as to how people kind of get to kind of knowing what they want to be kind of referred to as and things. And how did you kind of find that sort of like process? Is it quite tricky to know how you want to be referred to?
Yeah, it's definitely tricky. And in my personal experience, I feel like I always used to go by she, her pronouns because that's kind of
Hmm.
what I was brought up with. It's kind of just what I knew. Do you know what I mean? And then when I saw like, you know, I educated myself and I learned about non-binary people and different kind of gender identities, I was like, oh, this, resonates, but does it? Like, I always second guess myself. I'm like, oh, does this relate or does it not? Like, I'm always
Yeah.
like, I'm never really sure. And
Mhm.
I changed my pronouns to she, they, and that felt good to begin with, because I was kind of like trying out they pronouns, seeing how
Okay.
they made me feel.
Mhm.
Because I feel like it's not something you really know until you like try it out. And it's okay to change your pronouns. Like, that's normal. And
Mhm.
I like people using they for me. And I was like, well, this is great. And then I did for a little while change my pronouns to they, them exclusively. I didn't do it on my TikTok because I was like, oh, people are going to constantly misgender me.
Yeah.
And I did that. And I don't know. It's still a journey. Like, I feel
Mhm.
like a lot of the time, they, them pronouns are my number one. Like, they're my go-to. They're my most comfortable.
Okay.
But on some days,
Mhm.
I don't mind she, her. So it felt weird to kind of get rid of my she, her pronouns. And I also
Okay.
still relate to womanhood. So
Mhm.
to be exclusively they, them was a bit, I don't know, I kind of wanted she back. So then I think it was like 2 weeks ago, I swapped them around. So I'm now
Oh,
they,
did you?
she, and that feels a lot better. It's on my TikTok, it's on my Instagram,
Mhm.
and that's a lot better. And I do prefer they pronouns, which is why they're first.
Mhm.
But just sometimes I'm like, you know what? Today I want to be called she, so that's why they're there.
Mhm.
But it is hard, especially as a content creator, because I know, like, from talking to other autistic people, you just sometimes it feels like you have to have your pronouns a certain way to please people to not get misgendered.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
if I get rid of my she pronouns, I'm going to be constantly misgendered, and that's going to make me feel horrific.
Yeah.
But then, even if it's complicated, I tell you,
It really
it's
is.
really
Yeah.
complicated. So, at the moment, we're going with they, she, and that feels comfortable because a lot of the time I do prefer they, them, but sometimes I like she, her.
Mhm. Okay, that's really interesting to hear. Like, I was kind of intrigued to hear about like the kind of process, and it's interesting, how you're saying that it's okay to like experiment with it and
Yeah,
see how you feel, and like just test it out and see if it feels funny or if it feels like a little bit more natural. And that's really nice to kind of like hear how to kind of work it out, because I imagine it's quite, I don't know, it's not really something that's ever really like covered with you. Like,
no,
I don't think anyone's ever kind of spoken to me about like, there's no form of like education on like how you want to be referred to, or
no,
like, sexuality or like gender and stuff like that. Like, you don't get anything like that at school. It's all kind of, sex ed and stuff, and it's quite basic. So I feel like it's interesting to hear each person's sort of journey with it, and like how you've kind of, I don't know, just worked it out for yourself, and that actually you're still working it out, which
yeah,
is quite nice to hear. Actually,
yeah,
you haven't got it all worked out,
no,
but you've got to a kind of middle ground where you like the pronouns you've got at the moment.
yeah.
So that's nice.
That is the most important part. And everyone's journey is different as well, and you know
Mm.
that this is what helped me. It might not help you, but definitely just like trying out different pronouns really helped. And then when people call me they, them, I was like, that feels like super comfy.
Okay.
And that's kind of when I knew. I was like, yeah, like they're really important to me, those pronouns. So yeah, it's just
Mhm.
like trying stuff out and seeing what works. And it's okay to change things up.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like, you know, like you were saying, like you didn't want to commit on TikTok because,
Hmm.
like, it kind of feels like a not like a formal thing, but I guess like
Yes.
you don't want to be like misgendered and stuff like that, and like it's tricky. But yeah, that's interesting to hear, and yeah, I just feel like there's a long way to go in terms of people's understanding. But that could be a
There is
whole
a long way
a
to
whole
go.
different podcast. Yeah.
That's a whole different episode.
So I wanted to ask you a little bit about like you saying that one of your dreams is to potentially be a TV presenter, children's TV presenter. Do you have any other kind of like goals, aspirations, things like that we can kind of chat about?
Yeah, definitely. So goals wise, the TV presenter, that's a really new one. Like with the
Mhm.
sensory activities, I was kind of doing them for myself, and like people say I'm really good at them, and I was
Mhm.
like, that would be like a really fun thing. Like it feels like a really far fetched dream, but watch this space. You never know what could happen in life. But I was like, that would be like a really fun thing to do, and like I feel like it would be quite accessible as well. So I thought, that would be like a really cool thing to do, and like do sensory activities and maybe a bit of awareness, but like just have fun and like be creative. And that is like a far-fetched dream, like whether that's like working on Blue Peter, for example, or on a CBBC channel, or like kids TV, or having my own show. That's like the wild, wild, wild west dream. That's never going to happen, but we can dream. So that's like one of my dreams, and that's only really sparked from my recent TikTok content and just having that confidence as well. Like going to Blue Peter, I was like, wow, I could see myself doing this, and like the people there, they were like, you're really good at this, and I was like, you're just being nice, and they were like, no, honestly. And I told the manager, I was like, thank you so much, like, first time on TV, that was like really great. And he was like, first time on TV? I was like, yeah, I told you, like, at the beginning of the day it was my first time on TV. He was like, no. He's like, you're pulling my leg. And I was like, no, what's my first time? He was like, no. He was like, no way. He was like, this cannot be your first time on TV. He was like, you're so good. And I was like, I was.
Why, thank you.
Well, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. So that's definitely like the wildest goal. Besides that, kind of like, as I said earlier, I don't really think about numbers anymore. Like, I could set another number goal, but honestly, that wasn't good for me. Like, the 500k was a lovely goal, but now I've hit it. I'm just like, I'm not gonna set another number goal. My next goal is to be verified, which, oh my goodness, is a task. I'm trying, like, desperately. Like, I thought Blue Peter would do it, but apparently not.
What do you have to kind of be to be verified?
So I don't really know. It's a bit of a hidden secret, but I know, for example, that you kind of need to be it's different for everyone, but kind of how I kind of see it is that you need to be quite a prominent figure in whatever community or niche you're in.
Right.
You need to have like media around you, around what you do. You need to be a popular, bigger account. Like, do you know what I mean? There needs to be something going on. Like, people need to know you outside of TikTok as well. I think that's kind of the gist. So I thought, the article with the National Autistic Society, all the other previous articles I've done, and Blue Peter especially, would get me there, but no, I'm still working on it. It's my goal, and I reckon I can get there by the end of the year. I reckon I can do. I'm determined to get it this year. I'm determined. I'm determined. So that's my main other goal. And besides that, just get my nursing degree and work out my life plan. But that will come.
Simple things,
Nothing major,
No. Not your career and your life and
so many decisions.
Yeah.
But yeah, besides that, just a little things keeping me ticking by.
It's good to have like a variety of different sized goals as well, rather than like you saying like, it's tempting to have another number, but then that's something else to kind of, get stressed out if you don't reach it by a certain point and stuff like that. So I guess it's a good thing that you've kind of hit where you wanted to be and you're happy with it and you're just happy to keep going, kind of thing.
Honestly, yeah.
That sounds very sensible.
I'm just so happy with it, like, and people's support means so much to me. Like, that's what's important, really. It's the impact you're having every day. Like, the number doesn't matter. Like, if you're making a difference every day, that's what matters to me anyway. So that's what's important to me.
Yeah, and I think you definitely are. Like, the amount of like people that must have seen things like Blue Peter and also like your TikToks and stuff, and they're seeing, not just the stereotypical kind of, what an autistic person they think might look like, kind of thing. Like, just to see someone like older and just having fun with a sensory activity is like amazing.
Yeah, exactly. I like to change things up a bit, and you never know the people you're reaching, the audiences you're reaching. My friend told me, I thought it was a really good point, and I never thought about it before, but they kind of said it, and ever since I've been like, oh, that's a good point. Like, especially with TikTok, it's such a interesting algorithm that you could end up on anyone's For You page, and it's such a good opportunity for awareness. But then my friend was like, I wonder like how many celebrities For You pages that, you know, you just pop up on and you don't even know about it. And I was like, nah, this is going to be
Yeah.
with me now for the rest of my life. I thought that was really interesting.
Mm. Have you ever like gone through your followers and had a look to kind of like, have you ever done that? Or have you just been like, no, you know, whoever follows me kind of thing? You haven't like tried to seek out?
I don't know. I don't really look at it. But sometimes I get like someone follow me and I'm like, ooh, like with like a blue tick,
You're
for
like, I know
example,
them.
and I'm like, oh, why are you
Ooh.
following me for? And you followed me first? I don't even follow you. Those are fun moments. But besides that, I don't really look at it. I'm kind of like just vibing, you know.
Yeah, that's probably the most sensible thing to
I
do.
think I'd be there forever if I was scrolled. Could you imagine?
Well,
Be there
yes,
forever.
that is a good point, actually. I don't know why I said that. Like, why would you go through like
500,000 people.
that many people? Yeah, 500,000 people. God, why didn't I say it like that at the start of the podcast? Cheryl has 500,000 followers.
There you go.
That would have been punchy.
Punchy, get in there.
Yeah. I mean, 500k does sound like a lot, but I don't know why 500,000 sounds
500,000
bigger.
sounds more.
Yeah.
Blue Peter were like, Cheryl has 13.2 million likes on TikTok, and I was like, oh, my heart.
That is a lot of.
I've got more now, but yeah,
people.
here's a lot.
I can't believe like, do you ever kind of look back and just think about like how far, like from that first like podcast I did with you when you were like
Oh my
talking about
gosh.
like your growth from like, you know, just starting out and it being a nice thing to do to this point? Do you look back often? Do you try and kind of,
I like this
or
question.
is it just,
I like this.
yeah?
Yeah, I like this. The easiest way to put it is TikTok has completely changed my life. I cannot even say how grateful I am. And like, I used to kind of, I'm someone that kind of grew up with the YouTube era, you know, like lots of different like YouTubers. And I used to look up to them and really admire them, but also didn't really understand how it worked. Like, you know, you're like, how does someone get like so popular and do so well? To then have that kind of TikTok come along and that kind of translate. And like when I spoke to you last time, like it was the beginning of my journey and I didn't know where this was going to take me. And it was kind of like, oh, this is nice, but like whatever happens, happens. I never expected it to grow so big and to have such an impact and to also like change me and my life like for the better. It's like all these opportunities I've had that I would have never dreamt of. If you even spoke to me last year and said you're going to be going on Blue Peter, no. And I also felt like I'd never had the confidence either. Like, again, last year I wouldn't have been able to go on Blue Peter and did what I did and have that confidence. It wouldn't have happened. It's just like TikTok's like completely changed my life, and I'm just so grateful. And I never expected it. It was never the life plan.
No.
And it also makes me happy and like I feel like I have a purpose every single day, and that's something that I've always kind of struggled with in life. Like I always want to feel like I'm doing good, or there's something every day that I can wake up for and do and make a difference. And TikTok is that thing, and I can do it every day, and that's wild. I never expected it to grow this much. I never expected it. When I first started out, when I was speaking to you, when I hit 100k, I have my journals. You see my journals?
Yes.
And I had a page in there when I hit 100k, and it was road to 500k. And I thought, this is hilarious because it's never going to happen, but I'm going to like do it anyway. So like each milestone, so I did it in like 50k, I would then write the date of when I hit, say 150k, I'd write the date, and then, you know, it was like a page. And the end goal was 500k, and I was like, it's never going to happen. And then when it did happen, I was like, wow, like that was like, yeah, that was never going to happen when I actually wrote it. It was just a joke. Like, it wasn't actually meant to happen. So, yeah, you just never know what's going to happen. And I don't know where I'm going to be this time next year, this time next month.
Yeah.
Like, you never know what's going to happen.
And like when I first started talking to you, like, you know, you were juggling, like you were working at Tesco's part-time, or was it maybe full-time at some point?
Love
I'm not
Tesco's.
sure. Like you were juggling that, and you were like, I need to get these TikToks out. And like to hear you come from that to like, you know, how you're kind of balancing things now is really interesting. And like you say, like, you know, you don't know where you'll be like in even like a month's time. So
Exactly. And
it'll be
like,
interesting.
I love my job at Tesco's, and even when I was even 8 months ago, I was still had a part-time job. I was doing my nursing, I was doing TikTok, and I still had a part-time job. TikTok has enabled me to quit my part-time job, which is wild. I would have never ever thought about that, but it just felt so good. I was like, I can focus on TikTok. I only got 2 things to think about now, not 3 things.
Yeah.
And it just felt good. I'm very privileged and very grateful to be able to be in that position. Like, I would have never expected that.
It's so lovely to hear that, you know, you can now just kind of pursue the passion and earn from it. Like,
Yes.
that's great. That's like, and that it works for you, and you can, you know, it would be horrible if you were overwhelmed and, you know, felt under pressure from it all, but you've got the balance of, you know, being able to do it at your kind of own pace, which is nice to hear, because I feel like that's not maybe always the case for content creators. I don't know, like, how busy people are with, you
Yeah.
know, just life in general.
Yeah, exactly. Balance is key. And at least I've worked it out now.
Yeah. We'll have to do another podcast. I said this in December 2020, but you'll just have to check in with me every like year or so. Or
Oh yeah,
like,
just a little bit of gossip, a little catch up. See
yeah.
what's going on. It's like a journey of Cheryl.
Yeah, literally. Maybe I should just make this like its own series. Like a little podcast, like extra, like bonus, like Cheryl's journey.
How hilarious. It's just interesting because like things change so fast, so it's
Yeah.
nice. I like it.
It's so nice that you were like keen to come back on. Like, everyone who's listening to this, Cheryl messaged me and was like, let's do this. Like, let's like, you know, have a catch up and stuff. And it's really nice for me not to always like reach out to people, for people to be keen to come on. So I do really appreciate the fact that you were like, let's have a catch up.
Yeah,
Let's do this.
I just love chatting to you, and I was like, let's have a catch up. Like, there's lots of different things that have happened that are really exciting, and I know people want the inside goss,
Oh,
So I've been
always.
able to give a little bit of that, and I just thought it was a good time to catch up. Like, there's a lot of things that we spoke about, and yeah, different things. It's not every day that you get to hear about Blue Peter or other things.
I know.
So it was quite exciting. I was like, this is the right moment, and I'm going to message you and see if we can catch up.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. And of course, as always, I will link all your social media below. I feel like we've mentioned your username, but feel free to mention it again.
Yes, so I'm Cheryl_this_line_is_mine on TikTok and Instagram. You can check me out over there.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.